Hey YouTube, this is Brian here. I'm going to be doing my my top 100, that is, favorite musicians of all time. This is going to be spanning across genres, and it's probably going to be a several part video. So, since there's a good amount of diversity in here, I hope you like it. Let's get straight to it since there's a lot to talk about. Number one on here is going to be Nirvana. One of the things that I like most about Nirvana is that it's not just their number one Billboard hits like Smells Like Teen Spirit and Come As You Are and Heart Shaped Box. They also have awesome songs like Sliver and Dimension 7 and Something in the Way She Moves, it's not just a one dimensional band. And I think a lot of bands that achieve this sort of success, they don't have that kind of depth to their catalog. But Nirvana is one of the more influential grunge bands, I think, that a lot of bands since then, like Seether and Bush, for instance, have kind of emulated Kurt Cobain's vocal style. And I think that they leveled the playing field in that genre. They made it so a lot of other bands could receive the attention by popularizing the genre. Number two on my list is going to be Alice in Chains, one of the more intricate and technically skilled and talented grunge bands and alternative rock bands of the 1990s. Um, they were so skilled, and Lane Staley kind of reminds me a little bit of Kurt Cobain, since he passed when he was in his late 20s prematurely. Um, he was a little bit more of a technically skilled singer, though, and his harmonies with Jerry Cantrell, um, I think, added a unique element to their song. And Jerry Cantrell was also a fantastic guitarist, and they were a good band live. Perhaps Nirvana, the band that I listed right before them, perhaps Nirvana is the only band that has an arguably better um, MTV Unplugged concert. Yeah, let's get to number three on this list, which is Black Sabbath. I think that, probably the first metal band, and it's kind of hard to imagine music without Black Sabbath. It's hard to imagine that frenetic energy of guys like Chester Bennington and Kurt Cobain. If you hadn't had Ozzy Osbourne jumping around there, singing in that kind of high pitched, not really technically proficient, but it really fit the music. That kind of devilish tone that the band had in songs like Sweet Leaf, for example, I think displays it really well. It also displays really well the unique guitar playing of Tommy Iommi, who was injured in an accident at a sheet metal factory when he was a young man, and he still found a way to play with power chords and with distortion pedals, and to kind of make that simpler, heavier form of music. And I think that since they were the first metal band, I think that they might be the most influential band of the 1970s. Number four on here is a band that did a lot for progressive rock and psychedelic rock. Is Pink Floyd, best known for The Wall and for Dark Side of the Moon. I also Sorry, my computer was trying to restart itself. I also like some of their work with Syd Barrett. Um, I think that before he was replaced by the more famous lineup of the band, um, they had some kind of more 60s style stuff. It reminded me a little bit of the Zombies or of the Byrds. Uh, I think that Pink Floyd really brought psychedelic rock back from the brink, though. I thought it was kind of over with after Woodstock. But they also were a great band live. They had that show, the Pulse concert. That was all the way in the early '90s, so it shows you that they aged well, and they kept their talents. They didn't kind of disintegrate over time. they were one of those few bands that didn't seem like they were destroyed by drugs and alcohol. Um, so hopefully we can keep David Gilmour and his excellent singing and guitar playing forever. Well, I know time catches up with us all, but hopefully we can keep him for as long as possible because everyone's auto-tuned to hell today. Number 5 on my list is Art Tatum. He's like a player piano on crack practically. Check out the song Tiger Rag. Um, I think it sounds like there's 2 or 3 different guys playing piano. Um, and it's hard to imagine anyone else who plays with that sort of proficiency. I think I've heard a story of Art Tatum walking into a nightclub where Fats Waller was playing piano, and he called. I think he said to Fats Waller, I might be a piano player, but this man in here tonight is like a god. Um, yeah, and another time, a guy challenged him to what was called the cutting contest, which is like a piano playoff practically. And he said to that guy who challenged him, um, anything you play with your right hand, I can play with my left hand. And he wasn't just boasting. Art Tatum, could play cross-handed, and the fact that he was practically blind, and he was also very, very drunk during a lot of his piano solos. It makes it, I think, even more impressive that he was able to compose himself and play that intricately um, when he was playing with his eyes closed and his head was probably all dizzy and all over the place. Let's get to uh, number 6 on my list. Famous for his interpretations of the Great American Songbook, um, and as one of the most famous male singers in American history, probably Frank Sinatra. I love the memories I have of seeing him play, um, or hearing him play, that is. Obviously, I was born long after Frank Sinatra's time. But I loved hearing him play when my grandparents put him on. Um, he was he had such a beautiful baritone voice, and my favorite song from him is probably I almost said Something in the Way She Moves again. But my favorite song from him is Anything Goes, which is a fun song because it's not that technical, and I think anyone can sing it. It's one of the songs I like to sing when I'm warming up to do more complicated ones by like Soundgarden or Sublime or something. It helps me not strain my vocals as much on songs like that. Number 7 is country legend Hank Williams. He spawned a practical dynasty uh, through his son and his grandson coming after him, and they're still around today. You know, I think that similar to a lot of the people we've talked about so far, unfortunately, Hank Williams passed prematurely from drugs and alcohol in the back of a limo in his 1920s. Um, and that sucks. I think that my favorite song by him is probably I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive. Um, and that's also one of my favorite songs to sing. Number 8 is Supergroup with Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, and Eric Clapton, Cream. I love their live stuff a little bit more than their studio work. I love their performance of Spoonful. I love Sunshine of Your Love. And I also love a little bit more obscure songs like She Was Like a Bearded Rainbow and White Room. I remember hearing Cream cover band at like a county fair, and they did an excellent cover of White Room. And I think that was the first place I heard that song. And I've listened to the original version a lot of times since then, and it's always on my playlist. Number 9 on here is the Beatles. What really needs to be said about the Beatles? John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, uh, George Harrison. I think that they were probably the most definitive rock band of the 1960s. They actually got their band name, just a little note, from Buddy Holly and the Crickets. So that's why they're named after an insect. Um, that's a pretty interesting bit of trivia, I think. Number 10 on my list, most famous for songs like, um, what am I trying to say? Most famous for songs like Don't Fear the Reaper and I'm Burning for You is Blue Oyster Cult. And I think this was another band that also had really smart music. Think of songs like Astronomy, for example, and songs that also touched on little things from society and kind of parodied or skewered them, like Joan Crawford. That was a pretty funny song. Hmm. Number 11 is another jazz legend, Ella Fitzgerald. I think she had one of the greatest ranges in all of music history. We're getting towards the last couple minutes of this video, so I'll probably do another part tomorrow. But back to Ella Fitzgerald. She was another person who did a lot of songs from the Great American Songbook, and she lived for many, many decades. And though she lost a little bit of her range over the years, I think that the fact that she had such longevity makes her one of the all time greats. She had a beautiful, beautiful voice, and I love songs like Lullaby of Birdland that she did, for example. I think I'm going to stop here at number 11, and we'll start up again tomorrow. So thanks for watching.